Hey guys, how's everyone doing? This is Sir Jedi Sentinel, and welcome back to Sentinel Reviews. It's time to continue our look at Big Finish's celebration of Doctor Who's 60th anniversary, Once in Future, with this month's release, The Artist at the End of Time, released in June of 2023, written by James Goss, directed by Ken Bentley. The Artist at the End of Time stars Peter Davison as the Fifth Doctor, Georgia Tennant as Jenny, the Doctor's daughter, and Colin Baker as the Curator. As always, I do these unscripted, so just in case I am putting a blanket spoiler warning in place, just in case I decide to talk about spoilers. And right off the bat, this is much better than Past Lives, last month's story. As I said there, Past Lives had a lot of issues in the script itself, mainly because there was so much it wanted to do that it couldn't in under an hour, which led to a lot of it feeling rushed or underdeveloped, but thankfully it was saved by great performances. The Artist at the End of Time is a strong story in and of itself that is only boosted by the great performances here. So, the story here is after stabilizing into his fifth regeneration, the Fifth Doctor finds himself at the end of time looking for his daughter Jenny, hoping she has a way of stabilizing them. Crossing paths with her, they come across a mystery involving the last artworks of dying worlds. Sorry, it's really windy now. I can hear the wind pounding my house, and I'm hoping the mic doesn't pick that up. Anyway, so first thing off, the performances here are really strong. Peter Davison and Georgia Tennant have a great chemistry together. They have this energy when they just get to play off each other. The Fifth Doctor is really bouncy and very energetic. I don't recall ever seeing him have this kind of energy in his TV run or any of his audios. He's very childish when he gets to play off Jenny. That being said, I think the weakest part of this audio is the first 20 minutes, where the Doctor and Jenny are kind of looking at these last artworks, trying to figure out where they came from and who's responsible for them. Just because a lot of the editing is very awkward. Like, in one instance that I can think of, and there's a few instances, again, in the first 20 minutes, the Doctor will be at a museum looking at last artworks, and he'll get some information about them, and then he'll leave. Jenny will show up right behind him having her own questions, and then it'll make a very awkward cut to a bank robbery and slash art heist where the Doctor is talking to the robber, trying to see what she stole. Again, just the first 20 minutes have a lot of these very awkward cuts. And I also do kind of have a minor nitpick. Again, Peter Davison and Georgia Tennant are really great together. They have this great chemistry when they play off each other. But the writing seems to really enjoy it. There are a lot of fourth wall jokes alluding to the fact that Peter Davison and Georgia Tennant are father and daughter. The first few are very fun, a little silly, but very enjoyable. But then the script keeps making them, and it's a case of quantity. They made way too many. The story really picks up, though, and really improves after that first 20 minutes when the Curator gets introduced into the story. Now, for those of you only familiar with the TV show or not aware of what Big Finish has been doing the last few years, I'm going to catch you up really briefly. The Curator was a character introduced in the 50th Doctor Who anniversary TV special, The Day of the Doctor. He shows up at the very end of the story, played by Tom Baker, in one of the 50th anniversary specials' only nods to Classic Who. He is the curator of an art museum, and is very strongly implied to be a far future incarnation of the Doctor. In the last couple of years, Big Finish has started using the Curator in a few of their stories. Now this brings us to the last 8th Doctor 4-box set 16-part story, Stranded. In particular, the finale, Stranded 4, where the Curator shows up again, but this time he's played by Colin Baker. Now, now we're all caught up. I don't have the context for why he's Colin Baker now. I don't know if he regenerated or what have you, but yeah, that's where we're at now. And again, strong performances. It's a very small cast. Like, it's Peter Davison, Georgia Tennant, and Colin Baker. And one or two other characters. Colin Baker is the best part of this story. I think that might be my own personal biases, given Colin Baker is my favorite Doctor, and I have just gushed in previous reviews about what a terrific actor he is. But he really steals the show here. Like, he has this sort of melancholy to his performance. I think this is also the first story, again, because there's a lot of stuff that the expanded universe, not just audios, but comics as well, have done with the Curator that I'm just not familiar with. I haven't read it or seen it or what have you. But I think this is the first story that very firmly, concretely states that the Curator and the Doctor are the same person. And Colin Baker's performance has this sort of melancholy to it. The way he looks back, like, because of the effects of the degeneration weapon that has affected the Doctor over the course of Once and Future, the Doctor has this kind of sense of lost identity. And, you know, the Curator's there saying, don't worry, you'll figure out who you are again. Peter Davison and Colin Baker play off each other really well as well. Unfortunately, I feel like once the Curator gets introduced in this story, Jenny gets pushed to the side. She still has some terrific scenes, especially with the Curator, but she doesn't have as prominent a role as she did in the opening of the story. Peter Davison's performance is also disappointing, just because I was kind of expecting something that we didn't get, so it's more the fault of my expectations than anything Peter Davison does. He gets to do some really terrific things, like when he finds out one of the dying worlds is one of the Doctor's favorite spots, the Eye of Orion, he gets really depressed about it, and it's a terrific scene. Like, I think the Fifth Doctor is at his best when he's kind of defeated, so to speak. But anyway, as I was saying, so as I said, the premise of Once and Future is the Doctor has been hit with a degeneration weapon, so now his lives are in flux. He's constantly reverting to previous incarnations. And with that in mind, going back to past lives, Tom Baker made some really interesting choices, to the point that in his performance, he wasn't playing the Fourth Doctor, he was playing the Eighth Doctor. And I was hoping that would kind of carry over, but Peter Davison doesn't really do that. There are scenes where it feels like he's trying, but he is just playing the Fifth Doctor. And it's one of his better performances. It's just, I was kind of hoping to see how Davison would play the Eighth Doctor. Again, it's not a fault of the story. Davison is terrific. It's a fault of my own expectations. One other thing I will say is that this story obviously tackles art. And it's very timely as well. Because this story has a lot to say about the, what's the word? Commodification of art. I think that's how you say it. I'm not sure. Or about art as an industry. How it treats artists. You know, I can't help but thinking about Van Gogh, Vincent Van Gogh here. How his paintings were worthless, try as he might, when he was alive. And it was only after he died that they found value. This story has a lot to say about that as well, including what the ultimately unseen antagonists are up to. The Curator is going to these dying worlds, painting these last art pieces, but then right after they collect the Curator's works, they destroy the planet to drive up the value. So while there is this critique of the art industry as a whole, I also feel like it's kind of very subtly saying something about the current trend of AI art. Which is also very interesting because the artist for the standard edition of this, I almost said non-special edition, for the standard edition of this cover, previously used AI generated art before changing it, probably due to backlash, into another style. What you see now on screen is the remake of the cover. I'm not gonna look for the original. But yeah, I really have nothing to say about that. The Artist at the End of Time is a strong story with strong performances, especially from Colin Baker, and it's a story that has a lot to say about a very relevant topic. But that's all I have to say. Have you heard The Artist at the End of Time? What are your thoughts? Start a comment, start a conversation in the comments below, and remember to like, comment, subscribe. Click the bell next to subscribe to get notifications when I upload. Share the video around. All of it helps my channel grow. And in the description box below, you'll find the link to my Twitter, where you can follow me and get updates on the channel. And join me next month, when Once and Future continues with the 7th Doctor, where he will be teaming up with Davros to some capacity in A Genius for War. This is Sir Jedi Sentinel, and I'll see you guys next time.